Wait, what? I wish I got that. And we're live.
We are live.
Welcome back to Film University.
What's your favorite scary movie, Dom? About to murder this kid, bro. I can't see shit in this mask, bro. What's popping, Dom? How you doing?
Take it off. You can take it off. Just look
at
the camera. We did it for the thumbnail.
There we go. Thumbnail.
We did it for the thumbnail.
Time.
We did it for the thumbnail.
Woo! Oof.
Okay. So, oh Jesus.
Yeah, how's my hair?
Just pat it out a little bit. Woo! You might want to keep it out.
Oh, bro, I'm gonna have the this is my serial killer origin story, bro.
All right, so welcome back to Film Bros University, everybody. So the topic of today's episode is our thoughts on Scream 6, which released this weekend. Big box office success,
yes,
banger
sir.
of a movie. We really enjoyed ourselves watching it. We watched it twice this weekend. What are your initial thoughts? Like, what can you say about the movie, right?
I mean, dude, when we went in, it was me, you, Poi. We went with Poi, right, the first time, and you know, it was a fun time. The energy in the theater was amazing because we went at 42nd Street, and it was, you know, we're in New York City, so it's,
best place to go see that shit.
You had to.
Where
go
you gonna
there.
if the movie's gonna take place in New York, you gotta go to Times Square.
Of course. Nah. So you know, like you were like saying, like, New Jersey, we have a couple options. I'm like, no, New York, we had to do New York, and you know,
No. I said initially we're going to Empire 25.
Good.
I did not say that.
Because I know you love Jersey. I know you love Jersey's theater.
I love that theater.
Right.
Jersey.
Right.
No, Jersey's cool.
Good save. No, but yeah, so we went to Empire 25, and man, the hype in that theater, like from even the first scene, which was actually, like, I really love, like, from the first scene I was invested. Like when we opened up in that movie, and we're gonna already start jumping straight into spoilers, but man, like just seeing the killers.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm putting the spoiler warning this time.
Good. And you know, like even starting from like the killer's perspective, man, and just getting getting the identity reveal. That like threw me for a loop. I thought we were in for like a completely different movie because I thought they're changing the Scream formula. Like this like that had me nervous for a bit.
I was already on board when I saw Samara Weaving.
Yeah.
On screen. I was already on board when I saw her. I agree. That opening scene was definitely, they did something very interesting with that because it starts off with Samara Weaving's character. She's a film teacher, and she's going on this date. She's meeting some guy she met online, and you know, it starts off. You see like the little sus moments. You know what I mean? You see where it's probably where it's going. Yeah, it's the opening scene of a Scream movie. You know where this is going. And even like as you mentioned, the audience. What I loved about the audience is they were so aware of the tropes of the movie. So even when the phone rang, it was just like they made it seem like it was just the guy talking to them. But everybody knew. Like everybody was like, oh, everybody laughed when the phone rang. So she eventually, she gets into that alleyway in front of the bar, and she gets killed by what presumably seems to be the killer of the movie. But then they reveal his face.
We all just started laughing. Yeah, the entire theater burst into laughs. It was amazing.
They reveal his identity, and it was Flash Thompson from the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
The dude from Grand Budapest Hotel. He's just like his face is like so goofy. I love him.
He's in so many like movies. His name is forgive me if I pronounce it wrong. It's Tony Revolori.
Yeah.
Very talented actor. We've seen him in, as you said, the Grand Budapest Hotel. He was in 2015's Dope, which is also a very good movie. A very good.
Haven't seen it.
It definitely has its following. It's sort of like a cult classic of the 2010s. But yeah, he's a great actor overall. So I was like happy to see him, in this movie. But it's so interesting. We see him, so we presumably think, oh wow, they're gonna go this route. Like, will we know who the killer is the entire movie? But then eventually, he goes back to his apartment, and the real games begin. And so Yeah, he fucking dies.
Turns out he's another film nerd, and you know, he just
with a letterboxd account.
Hits at the soul, man. It hits at the soul. They're film bros, bro. They got murked. It's over.
Damn, bro. They really came for our heads.
Yeah.
This movie comes for our whole brand. That shit is crazy. So yeah, he goes back to his apartment. He gets murked. And what was the line? We saw it twice. How did I forget the line? He says something like, when he kills him, when it's like the final slash. Where
who gives a fuck about movies?
Yeah, who gives a fuck about movies that kills him? That threw me for a loop. Which I'll get into later because you know, usually the line that Ghostface says is very much it's supposed to be impactful and connect to what the movie's sort of about and what they're trying to go for, because every one of these movies is sort of meta as fuck.
Yeah, for sure.
And he started, and Wes Craven, rest in peace, Wes Craven, he's a fucking genius. He birthed this franchise, and the genius of the first movie was making fun of horror movie tropes, but it was in this
that
way
he himself helped to establish. That's like the craziest part with Nightmare on Elm Street and with all these movies. And you know, like there's a lot of like wild stuff that you can look up about the creation of the first Scream movie, where you're like, oh my god, this could have changed, like, you know, everything. Like Bob Weinstein, the guy that was like producing the movie, he hated the masks at first. He like hated the masks. He's like, dude, you guys have to redo all this mask. Nobody can take this seriously. You know, like it seems like a comedy. Everyone's rejecting the script. Robert Rodriguez, all these people, they're rejecting the script. And then, you know, they're like, listen, if you don't let us use this mask, we will not make this movie. We will stop the production. You know, they were telling Bob Weinstein, they're like, we will stop the production of this movie. And, you know, he says, okay, fine. Make the first scene. I'll watch the first scene. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, we're cutting it. And they make the first scene with Drew Barrymore. And yeah, exactly. That first scene. And it was magic. And Bob Weinstein, he didn't have a single complaint after that. He let the whole movie be made after. Like, it was a great scene.
A good sign that you have written something good and you're gonna make something good is when the studio is against it. Like, I think that's a pretty solid sign for when you're making something good. But yeah, like, it was so interesting how he was making fun of other movies, like you said, that and stuff that he's incorporated into horror. But at the same time, it was to be taken seriously. That like the movie, you could take the story seriously. It wasn't like Scary Movie, which is funny because it's a movie making
it's
fun
a parody
of
a parody.
Yeah,
right.
That's so funny. But yeah, he did a very good job with that, and I feel like you definitely still feel the energy here. I feel like the people making the movies definitely have a huge passion
for sure.
What Wes Craven laid out for
them. There were like so many little decisions that you don't even realize that fundamentally changed like the first movie from like what we watched. Like, for example, you know that like at first they were thinking of like making like the black around Ghostface like white. Like, you know, like that was their first idea for the costume, to make him more ghost-like. In the first Scream movie. In the
very first.
Yeah. Okay. And so they first wanted everything to be white around him, but then they were like, wait, this is gonna look a little too similar to the Ku Klux Klan.
Oh yeah.
They didn't go that route. And dude, like there's like so many like little things that you could watch, like read up, and it's like Joaquin Phoenix. Maybe they were trying to cast him as, you know, Billy Loomis, and there's just like a lot of like stuff like that you read.
They wanted someone who looked like Johnny Depp.
Right.
Who was cast in the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
The very first one, which was his first movie role.
And he was incredible.
Nick Cage got him that role too, that's very interesting. Actually, I completely forgot about that. But yeah, they wanted Billy Loomis to look like Johnny Depp. That's why they casted Billy. That it was what's his name?
I forgot.
Skeet Ulrich.
He returns in these new movies. That's what's great is that, you know.
Yeah, he's like the spirit that drives
the main characters.
Samantha Carpenter.
Yeah. Oh, and you know, that's actually some of my favorite bits in the movie when they're sort of showing this, like her being drawn to like her legacy and like her father and you know, just dealing with this like violent side of her, and that from there comes like the most compelling parts of like the conflict, where you know that she wants to go apeshit on some of these killers, where she has this impulse in her, and she's consistently fighting with that impulse throughout these movies, in Scream 5 and in Scream 6. Funny that they called Scream 5 just Scream, right? They just
what I love about the title, and I watched Chris Stuckman's review, they call it Scream as like a joke on like the rebooting, like these studios rebooting a franchise like Halloween. calling it just Halloween, even though it was like the 9th movie or 10th movie in the franchise.
So that they could feel like, oh, this is like a reset. You can watch this blind. You could go in, and there's still like some references to like the past.
Yeah. And so I love that they just called it Scream 6.
Yeah.
They didn't call it Scream 2. They just called it what it is. It
finally.
was the whole point of Scream. That's what I love, is that they're very self-aware of what they're doing.
I mean, the directors, they're like this duo. I don't know their names, but they're called like Radio Silence. Like that's their like duo name. Like a lot of like
Chris,
these.
That's what I was thinking, because I watched Chris Stuckman's review of Scream 6, and he talked about Radio Silence, and I was like, is that what they refer to themselves?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these like director duos, especially if they have like crazy last names and first names, like now they're like we just simplify them so they can be like known as the duo. Daniels, Russos, you got like all these just good like director duo like names, but they have like since their names are different, they're like Radio Silence. That's their. And they're doing a good job.
I'm curious as to why they call it Radio Silence, though.
I don't know.
We could look into that later. But do you think because they went the route where they kind of juke us out of like, oh wait, we're gonna know who the killer is. Do you think they could have stuck with that and it would have worked? And do you think they'll do it in future movies?
It's a bold decision for the Scream franchise, because the Scream franchise has been built around like the who is it? Yeah, the who done it, like guess sort of who is the killer, and it's sort of a fundamental like trope that's in like the Scream movies. But it would be like fascinating to see like a director take on that sort of angle of, we know who the killer is and the characters don't. It's always risky to do that when the audience knows something that the characters don't, because it makes it more, you're more aware that you're watching like a movie, because you're being given things, like you're giving hints and stuff like that.
It's also difficult because these are slasher movies,
right?
And people look for specific things in these movies, so you wouldn't like it'd be pretty difficult to have that, because if we were to know who the killer is, there'd have to be some sort of sympathy for the character. You couldn't just like do it without having any like emotional aspect to the character.
Do you think that they might be building that up with Samantha Carpenter's character, where they're sort of like showing us, we're building up sympathy, we're giving her multiple movies, but we're giving her this like dark impulse where she does enjoy killing these people. Like that had that great scene with the therapist. The therapist was a great scene where she's with this guy, and she's slowly giving him like all these like hints about her past, and then she just fully tells him, and he freaks out. Like he's like, I'm not equipped to deal with this. You implied that you might be down to murder more people. I'm not gonna do it. And then he gets stabbed through the nose later, this unfortunate old guy.
It's a great scene.
That was a fun scene.
I think they kind of already gave us a response when it came to that. They showed Samantha with the mask at the end, with her father's mask, and she just dumps it on the ground.
Right. Well, she dumps it on the ground so that someone else can pick it up for the sequel. That we know how this works. Someone is gonna pick up like the crime scene. Some corrupt cop's gonna pick it up. They're gonna get it to another Scream killer, and then they're gonna be like, "I have your father's mask, man." And then it's gonna go on for another movie. So that's why she dumped it. But who knows? Like, I do think that they've left this avenue open with like her remaining like this hero. But as long as she still has her family and her friends, she's drawn into the light. But these are Scream movies; they can be killed off. Like they didn't do it in this movie.
Yeah, I feel like. Well, we can get into that later too. That's definitely one of my issues with the film is they pulled punches. Like
they did.
As visceral as this movie felt, with its violence, its ghost-faced, and all the way the character stories that they decided to explore this time around, I think they definitely pulled some punches with this one. And Scream 5, definitely, I felt more stake watching Scream 5. And a lot of people don't like that movie, and I was very confused, because I remember the first time I saw Scream 5 last year, I was in love with it. I loved it. The second time I watched it, a little less so, and it's always with these like whodunit movies. The second time you watch it, some of the magic is taken away a bit, right? Because a part of the fun with whodunit movies is
the first experience, trying to figure it out along with the audience, and it's sort of being taken along the roller coaster ride.
And it's very difficult to make that rewatchable. Like the first Scream movie is I think in my opinion the best slasher of all time, and you can compare it, like obviously there's Halloween and stuff like that, but me personally, right, like the one that I connect to, the one that I adore,
because it has all the film references, it's so self-aware,
it has like that
charm.
90s teen romance and stuff, like it's all this like all the stuff about everything good about the 90s wrapped into like one movie, and there's obviously more movies that explore that and accentuate that energy, but yeah, I think one of the main things is that whodunit aspect that
sure
is difficult to get by. But yeah, I lost my train of thought a little bit, but you gave me that face when I said like Scream was like one of my favorite like slashers, and you were like, did you forget about Halloween?
Did you forget about
Halloween?
Did you forget about Nightmare on Elm Street? Well, we had it.
I think Scream is definitely is better than Nightmare on Elm Street, even though I love Nightmare on Elm Street.
Actually, the first time that we both watched Nightmare on Elm Street, we were going to go watch Last Night in Soho in Jersey,
Jesus
in
Christ.
that theater that you love so fucking much.
Guys.
And we were going to Jersey, and when we slept, we got into our seats, and we were so excited. We're gonna watch Last Night in Soho. Edgar Wright, fucking great director. We're ready, and then they start playing the Scream 5. It was a Scream 5 trailer.
It was a Scream 5
It
trailer.
was a Scream 5 trailer. They started playing it like over and over and over
what
again.
happened? Yeah. So what happened was we get into the theater, and we watch the Scream trailer, and then all of a sudden everything shuts off.
Right.
And then we're just waiting there looking at a blank screen, and then all of a sudden you hear the. And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What's going on?" And they played the Scream trailer again, and everybody was like, "What the fuck's happening?" And some guy came and was like, "Oh, we're having technical difficulties with the projector and stuff like that."
That guy.
And then they turn off the lights again, and the projector comes on, and the Scream trailer plays again.
Right.
So we went to Jersey for 40 fucking minutes, sitting in a theater watching the Scream trailer 3 times.
No, they played that trailer a bunch of
Yeah.
times. We had Leo next to us. He was like, "What the fuck's going on?"
And then the guy behind us, like 2 rows behind us, "This is my most anticipated movie of the year. What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah, you really wanted to watch Last Night in Soho.
That poor guy. I felt more bad for him than any of us. That dude seems so dread. He was so done, bro.
I mean, I'm sure he got to rewatch it like the next few days.
Nah,
but we had to go back after that. We had to leave Jersey, and we were like, "Oh man, that's such a dub." You know, I think we were with Leo and Jahai.
So what happened after that was we went to look for alcohol in Jersey, which is like it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. You just have to find it in different areas.
No, there's like we were looking for just regular like White Claws and like Trulies and all this stuff, but all they had was hard liquor stores and stuff. So when we finally got to a CVS, we walked for like 45 minutes looking for a CVS. None of them had a fucking liquor cabinet.
So eventually
we
took I believe we took like an Uber or a Lyft back. We took
and we ordered an Uber and we didn't fit in the guy's car, and we were like this in the back, and I'm like, "Nah, I fit," and like, "Nah, bro, I can't drive like this," and he kicked us out of the Uber, and we had to order an Uber XL, bro. And then we go into the Uber XL, and the guy started offering us snacks.
Yeah,
it was
I took them. I took the snacks.
You didn't take the snacks.
I thought I took the snacks.
No, you did not take the snacks. I told you not to take the snacks. This motherfucker is the first guy to die in a Scream movie. Bro.
I would.
He's
I
the
would be.
opening scene.
I
bro.
would be. Oh man, no. I
Uber
agree.
driver opening scene,
dude. That's
movie?
gonna be Scream 7, bro. That's gonna be Scream 7 guaranteed.
They should have done that. That would be interesting. But yeah, nah. And then we went back to my place, and we watched Nightmare on Elm Street. And I remember that was when I was before I had like a home theater and stuff. So we had the boombox.
Right.
And I was packing to leave to Europe at the time. So this big ass boombox is in the middle of the suitcase. And Nightmare on Elm Street starts playing loud as fuck, and we're all faded.
I was invested. I was the one that finished the movie. You and Leo fell asleep before the end of the movie.
No. We finished the movie. I just got so wasted, I forgot what the fuck happened in the later half of the movie. We were so, and it was no. But the beautiful thing about that night is like we were so happy. we were so like just enjoying ourselves that my dad was like, fuck it, because he didn't like us drinking at that time.
Right.
But it was like that one moment where we were so happy. We just looked like we were enjoying our fucking the hell. We were having a hell of a night.
It definitely redeemed watching the Scream 5 trailer fucking 20 times. It definitely redeemed that, the fact that we watched... Because in the morning after that, we watched American Psycho.
Bro,
another Film Bro certified movie.
I woke up with fucking pizza on my chest. Because I woke up so hungover because I fell asleep on the couch, and I just wake up and I'm sitting there, and when I went to take a piss, I see tomato sauce all over my fucking pants. And I'm like,
everyone woke up and we were like, how the fuck did that happen, dude?
No, and then you told me, because then I go, and then the best part was I opened the fridge and there's one fucking plate with a slice of pizza and a bite in it. Just chilling there in my fridge. And I was like, yo, did somebody serve this to me while I was drunk? And he was like, yeah, you fucking ate a bite of it. I had to take it away from you because you dropped it or some shit.
No, yeah, it was a chaotic night. It was great, and that was actually like in the morning. I watched American Psycho for the first time. Had a great
all
time.
of us watched it. I mean, that was my second time, but I was showing you guys them because I got the 4K Steelbook.
Right. But yeah, I'll forever associate Scream 5 and the Scream 5 trailer with that legendary. That was a Halloween night, right? That was Halloween.
No, that wasn't Halloween. That was like the week of Halloween.
The week of Halloween.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. But yeah, so going back to Scream 6, we went on a bit of a tangent there, but amazing night nevertheless. So yeah, and the interesting thing about Radio Silence, as you mentioned to them, as we referred to them before, Samara Weaving worked with them on Ready or Not back in 2019, which is also an incredible film.
I didn't finish it. I still have to finish that movie.
You got to finish that movie. That's an amazing movie. You were watching it around that week too.
Really?
Because I remember I was at your place and we watched Scream.
Right.
And then you got the mask, tried to surprise me, but I already fell asleep. And then you were watching Ready or Not while I was knocked out.
I had the Scream mask. I got it from like a CVS, and I was trying to like call up and do my
CVS of all fucking places.
CVS. No, it was great. It was a good price, and so I got it. And I was trying to call you up and do my imitation of the voice, which, obviously you saw from the beginning of the podcast, I can't nail. But I was trying to do it, but you were already asleep, and so I
woke up and I'm looking at my phone, and it says, "What's your favorite scare?" I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?" and then I realized you were the one that said that.
Right.
But yeah, that was great. Yeah, you got to finish that movie. That was great. She was also in the Babysitter films. And Jenna Ortega.
I watched those.
Jenna Ortega was also in the sequel. So they already kind of knew each other. Maybe they met during the filming. I don't know, but you didn't see the second one.
I don't know. I watched the first Babysitter. I didn't watch the second
bro,
one.
those movies got shit on.
Yeah,
and I enjoy those movies. They're fun. They're not like.
For me, the first one was like a guilty pleasure. Like I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's just dumb fun.
Right.
For me, I enjoy those movies, and Samara Weaving's great in it, as she is in everything. She was in Babylon recently. She's killing it.
Who did she play in Babylon?
Margot Robbie's double.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's hilarious.
Her what's it called when an actor maybe if an actor can't perform, they have
the stunt double.
Not a stunt double. If I say I get sick and I can't perform, there's some understudy.
Understudy, got you.
She was like the understudy, yeah.
I see.
It was just a fun joke because they always like say that she looks like Margot Robbie and stuff like that.
I see.
Yeah. But yeah, this time around, Scream 6, we have some new characters. We have Annika, who's the daughter of the... No. Quinn Bailey. Quinn Bailey is the daughter of Wayne Bailey, who's, I believe, the one of the officers working in the district around there.
Yeah, he's the cop.
Is he a chief or he's just a regular cop?
I mean, they made it seem like he was like a big time cop since he was the one that was covering the case. But they did that because of his personal connection. But then they removed him from the case after his daughter supposedly died.
Yeah.
So they didn't really specify, but he was talking with the FBI lady from Scream 4, right? You said I didn't watch Scream 4, so I didn't understand like the
Kirby
whole.
Reed, yeah.
Yeah.
Reed. That was also amazing that they brought her back.
I remember the audience like freaked out when she came on. I was like, I feel like I recognize her from somewhere, but it turned out that I clearly haven't seen her.
She was big on. I think it was Nashville. There was a show on ABC. She was big on Nashville, but yeah, she was in Scream 4. Scream 4 is also really good. In my opinion, I have to rewatch them. I know Scream's my favorite, the first one. Scream 2, the second time around, I liked it more. Still a little bit underwhelming compared to Scream 1. Scream 3 is, in everybody's opinion, the worst one. But I can watch it because I enjoy the franchise. But yeah, when she was in Scream 4, she was one of the better, like more out, what's it called? Memorable
characters. I see.
Yeah, so we have...
I'll definitely check out the fourth and the fourth one.
We'll watch it sometime. But so we had Quinn Bailey, the Wayne Bailey, the detective. Then we had Ethan Landry, who's also a Bailey. And we find out at the end that they're those.
It was hilarious because like Mindy, like like she got everything right like the first time, like when she's like breaking it down. You know, like how they have in the Scream movies that scene where they break down like all the tropes of the current movie, whether it's like a horror slasher movie or like a sequel or a requel or a franchise movie. So she was breaking it down during the franchise, and she guessed everything correctly. But then of course, you know, like she starts suspecting everyone, trying to be like, you know, the smart person in the room, and she backs away from her initial predictions. She says right away, Ethan and roommate, you guys are too suspicious because you can fix the lottery, you can get near like our roommate characters, and from there, you know, be Ghostface. And so she was on point with that, and you know, so they had that running joke where she's like, "Oh, I failed to predict it again," but she was on point the first time, and it's always like funny to see that.
In the other movie, she was wrong.
Right.
I believe like every single time she was wrong who was the killer. But yeah, that was really well done. And then we had her girlfriend Annika. She was also a new character.
I mean, that scene was brutal. That was my favorite scene in the movie. Well, like one of my favorite scenes in the movie, when they had the ladder sequence and they had to like go across the ladder, and we had the roommate character, like not the roommate,
that was my favorite.
He was
scene.
He was like, "Yo, I see you."
He's like, I fucking see you. I fucking see you. He sees and Ghostface is just like staring at him from across the window and walks out of the room. Yeah. He's like, I fucking see you, motherfucker. That. And
he's like calling them all up, and they're like joking about like her. Yeah. And he has like that voice. I don't know that actor's name, but he's hilarious. I
thought him and Chad are my favorite characters.
Right, from this movie.
In the new
and they both
revival,
survived. Yeah. I don't know how Chad survived. That dude got stabbed.
The other guy, the what's the name? Danny. Danny's the name of the guy next door.
Right. The Samantha's boyfriend.
Who lives next door to Samantha. He left because Samantha said, "You got to go away."
Right.
So they kind of eliminated him immediately. But yeah, Annika's death was crazy.
When she fell from and hit the thing.
It was hard because she felt you felt that she was the expendable one.
I mean, no. Mindy straight up said it. Mindy predicted the movie in her first like exposition scene. She's like, "Oh, the love interest probably she says like dead meat, like slasher like meat, you know, like she says like a throwaway line like that, and like you see her face immediately drop, and then later Mindy second guessed herself and says love interests are always suspicious, but the first guess where she was like, "Oh yeah, you're just like, you know, expendable," she fully called it, and you know they killed the Annika off.
Yeah, and you said this time around that scene was brutal. Like we got it in this movie. We got a way more hardcore Ghostface, which I really enjoyed, because definitely compared to other slashers, Scream can be a bit tame.
Yeah,
in terms of the violence, and I feel like this one they were not playing games, and then you realize it's a fucking cop, so like it's probably like I believe maybe in the bodega scene. It would be fun like to rewatch it again and actually piece together who was Ghostface when.
Well,
there's 3 Ghostfaces.
They said in like the final like exposition scene that it was the cop's daughter, basically their roommate, who was, you know, she was the one she had a hilarious scene where she had some guy in her room, and you know, like they had that joke where I forgot exactly what it was, but it was hilarious. The entire theater was like laughing. Where, you know, like she opens the door, and then you know, she's talking with the main character Samantha, and she's like, "Oh, is that Paul?" And then the dude's like, "Who the fuck is Paul?" And then the door closes. Like she just goes away from the dude. So she has like that great like intro setup as like the quote unquote trope of the slutty roommate. But you know, like she turns out to be the killer later, and she said that to get rid of me as the suspect, they killed me off, and then I was able to be on the train to assist and be there as like another Ghostface when like Ethan and Mindy were on the train,
because they wouldn't question her anymore.
Yeah,
I think when Mindy sort of set that up, when it's like everyone's a suspect, and you could tell like the people against it the most were what's her name? It's Quinn. It was Quinn and Ethan,
right,
who were like the most against it.
For sure, they had pushback. They had some pushback.
They had a lot of pushback. Yeah. He was turning it around. I was like, Samantha's crazy, and then Jenna Ortega's character was like, "Don't you fucking dare." Little glitch in the Matrix there. The camera battery died, but we'll still keep on moving.
I'm like Neo. I just woke up, man.
Good reference. Okay, so where were we? You were talking about Mindy and how she was sniffing out everybody, right, in the park, and everybody like it was it was Ethan and Quinn who had the most pushback, right?
Yeah, they had the most like pushback when she like immediately said that they were the most suspicious as the roommates that could immediately jack the lottery, and you know, like she got them right off the bat, and she also got off like who was expendable. She got like everything correct. Her only problem is that, as always, she second guesses herself and overcomplicates it, as people probably do in that scenario where, you know, they're always they get suspicious, you get paranoid, and then you overguess. And yeah, no, and she also called everyone out with Letterboxd, which hurt my soul, but you know, we move on, bro. I still got my Letterboxd account, I'm proud of that. But yeah,
very
man,
self-aware, so I appreciate
I appreciate any references.
Like
they had a reference to Reddit and they had references to Letterboxd, so I appreciate any references to stuff that I know. So
I mean, if I'm correct, she was very much more confident in the fifth one, right?
Yeah, I mean, like she was still like fairly like overconfident in both, but in both times, like part of the humor, I guess, is just her being like, "Oh, I got it wrong." Like she's just one of those uber fans that's always trying to get it right while they're watching the movie. But because of the way that these slashers are designed to be almost like impossible to predict, you know, like you had that feeling with her of like, "Oh man, I didn't get it right." Like, you know, like those people that you sometimes watch alongside of, and every time someone walks through a door, you're like, "Oh, I bet they're the killer. I bet they're the killer," and you know they're saying shit like that. Like she's basically an insert of that character.
They do a lot of that where like a character shows up later after like the killings or something, and then there's more pushback on him. Like I remember when Ethan pulled up to the crime scene after Annika fell off the ladder.
Yeah.
Chad grabs him and just slams him against the police truck. He was like, "I was an econ."
And yeah, no, like they have like a lot of scenes like that. Like even I mean, a really good way that they did it is like when Cute Boy from across the hall, that's what they call him, when he walks in after they see the news and they see that the Ghostface killings are back in New York, he's just be like, "Okay, new guy, go." Yeah. Like, very nicely. Like that was a great little scene. Like there's a lot of like little character moments like that make the world feel more real that I appreciate, even though it's like a parody film.
I knew, like, he seemed too decent to be the killer to me. Like,
I mean, sometimes being too decent is suspicious, bro.
Yeah, but somebody like him, if he was like the boyfriend per se, like to her, he would want to be there. But I feel like he understood the situation. Like he was the most understanding of Samantha throughout the film,
for sure.
So that's where I was kind of like, nah, I can't. He's too genuine of a guy to be the killer.
Right.
He's too genuine of a person. Everybody else felt like they were acting, you know. Like Ethan was sus the whole movie.
I mean, he was almost too deliberately sus. Like I was like, oh no, they're trying to fake us out with him too hard. Like I thought he was a very clear fake out, and then when it turned out that he was actually the killer, I was like, oh man, I was like, oh no.
He was also like the least you knew about throughout the film.
Right.
Him and Quinn were the least you knew about, which kind of kept us in the dark as well. Which is pretty smart writing.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's smart writing.
I mean, what did you think about like the angle with the cop, with like the cop dad who's like their parents, and he's
with
sort of
Wayne Bailey?
Yeah.
Well, no, I appreciated it. I said it's a callback to Scream 2, because in that one is Billy Loomis's mom who's the killer, and I think it was very smart. They did the same thing in the first Scream, or the Scream, the reboot, the requel last year with Richie. Who was the boyfriend of Samantha.
Sort of a Billy Loomis recreation.
And in the original, it was the boyfriend who ended up being the killer, which was that twist was phenomenal. That's one of the best twists in slasher. That it's so good. They fake you out so many times. It's
I mean, they always have that thing where they kill off like the killer, like they fake kill off the killer, and then the killer comes back with like blood drenched on, like, yeah, it was me the whole time. You know?
But what's so smart about the original Scream is that they make it so clear, like they make it so obvious to you that he's the killer, that you don't think he's the killer. Because like, oh, it'd be too easy. No, he's the guy. He's definitely the guy. As he was placed during every situation where Ghostface appeared, he was always in like a bad position. So I just thought that was funny, you know, because usually the person they make it most obvious is not the killer. That's usually the case in a lot of these whodunits and stuff like that.
Because you know it's one of those things where like the writer's always trying to be clever, and they're trying to out clever you as the audience member. They're trying to put you through like a fun time, through like that roller coaster of trying to guess, of trying to be that Mindy character. And you know, like even like guys like George R.R. Martin are like, oh dude, if you're putting in like a lot of like secret hints that the killer is, you know, the chef, you can't just suddenly like rewrite at the end that, oh no, the whole time, you know, the killer was this other person, it was the maid. You know, you'd have to have like the little setup, you have to consider all that from the beginning, and I feel like the Scream movies more or less do that.
The best twists are the ones that you can see coming.
Yeah.
Those are the best.
Where
twists.
In retrospect you're like, oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Where the
Yeah.
rewatch helps the movie.
Exactly. But one thing I also appreciate, you know, with these sort of requels and the way the Radio Silence is going about it, is they made him more brutal because they know that this generation is not on that weak shit.
Right.
So this one specifically was definitely way more violent.
I mean, it's been a progression with slasher films, where like slasher films started out like very subtle because they were pushing the envelope. Like films were sort of becoming more violent, like in like the 70s and stuff like that. And so they were sort of seeing how far they could go without getting like the highest rating possible, so that they can't make any money. And so, you know, like they progressed from like even like the Halloween movies, where like the Halloween movies after the first just became 10 times more brutal. And now, since audiences have grown like sort of much more jaded to that type of violence, they have to make the punches like actually like feel more, to make like dude, when Ghostface came out with like a shotgun, I was like, oh dude, I'm nervous for these characters. That's crazy.
Ghostface with a shotgun is crazy. That shit was. I'm not sure if we talked about it before, but that bodega scene was top 3 scenes in the movie. I thought it was so well shot. Chris Stuckman mentioned that it reminded him of the Triceratops scene in Jurassic Park.
Oh, in Jurassic Park, like when it's
girl,
like feeling them out, like sort of like telling with like, and they have to distract. They have to like they were trying to distract Ghostface with like random. Yeah.
It's good. It was kind of crazy though that they wanted to push I guess it was the sort of thing where like they were very selective with the violence, where they weren't just like creating brutal scenes for the sake of creating brutal scenes. They were using it purposefully, because you can tell when there's a scene where he takes the shotgun away, and they cut to him aiming the shotgun at the deli owner, but it's off screen. The shelf is like blocking his face, so they're clearly not trying to just do what a lot of the slashers do at the same time.
For sure.
They found a way around it where it's like, yeah, we're giving you more of what you're asking for, but we're not doing it for no reason, you know?
I mean, they go all out when it's time to kill the killers. You know?
But that's what I mean. It's purposeful.
It's purposeful. For sure.
Yeah, and we'll get into that then. And with Samantha, especially that crazy scene with Wayne Bailey, it was amazing. I thought that was one of the best parts. But yeah, and what's also good about this Ghostface is that he's not falling over every fucking 5 seconds.
Finally. They finally do it.
Like, you punch him, he gets right back up and he's moving. I noticed that when they were chasing Gail and her, when the Ghostface was chasing her in the apartment, and when they went out onto the balcony, she was like throwing things at him. He was jumping over.
She was like knocking things over, trying to run away, and he was just keeping up at the same pace.
They still have like the little when he misses the swipe.
I mean, it's gotta be in there.
You need and you always need the shot of him in the door. And he's like,
yeah. No, that Gale scene was actually insane, because dude, that was like they like both the voice of Ghostface, I forgot the actor's name, but the voice of Ghostface and the actress that played Gale, they have both been in all 6 Scream movies, and this was like the first time that they're both in the same scene. And so that's why I was like, oh dude, I really do feel like she's gonna die in the scene, and I fully thought she did on my first watch, but you know, it turned out no, it was like it was a fake out.
It's also the first Scream movie without Sidney Prescott.
Yeah,
because one thing, we get the return of Gale Weathers, you know, which was like, they made it work for the movie. I was definitely a little shaky because I like it when a franchise can move away from its original characters, you know, not just doing it for the sake of nostalgia like Star Wars does it, and like a bunch of other franchises.
Jurassic Park and some of these other ones.
Dominion. Nah, don't even get me started with that movie. Jesus Christ. Creed 3, I mean, that was also contractual stuff, but Creed 3 did a good job of stepping away from Rocky, and it made sense, you know. But the same thing here. It's so funny because I'm like, I think it'd be a good idea to not have some of the original characters in it and just let the new characters breathe. But I'm always finding out like Rocky had some problems. He doesn't even own the rights anymore, or something like that. He doesn't own the rights.
Sylvester Stallone.
It's always some contractual thing, and then they couldn't pay with
Sidney Powell.
Sidney Powell?
Yeah, what's her name?
Prescott.
Sidney Prescott.
The actress who plays Sidney Prescott.
Yeah.
They didn't pay her enough. I think. Wait, her name is I know her name, bro. Hold on. Naomi can't. No. That's a different person. It starts with an N. Hold on. That's a totally different person.
I'm mixing up with Sydney's, but Sydney.
I know
Prescott,
the actress's name.
They all had contractual like issues with like like being paid and stuff, and so that's why some of them like don't come back for these other movies. But the crazy thing is that the franchises are showing that they can do even better sometimes without these main stars.
Neve Campbell. So I wasn't right. It's not Naomi Campbell. That's a completely different person. Neve Campbell is the actress's name.
Right.
Yeah. So. What did you say? I'm so sorry. I was looking at this. I'm so sorry.
No. You're chilling. No, like I basically just meant that it's interesting now that like these like main like faces for these franchises, it turns out that they don't need to come back because like the movies are still having some of their biggest opening weekends and stuff without them, and so now they're in this interesting situation where we're living closer towards like the death of the movie star, and like the franchises by themselves, like the IPs are what's living on, like sort of what Mindy says where legacy characters now die in the service of the franchise,
Yeah, that's what I like about this whole that's why Scream is my favorite like slasher horror franchise, because I think it's the only one where I can consistently enjoy every single movie throughout.
Right.
Why are you smiling?
No, you're right, because you do fully enjoy them throughout, and it's
like
it's a great
Scream
thing.
3 is obviously the lesser one, but I still I have fun with it. It's not garbage.
Right. I mean, I haven't seen Scream. I haven't seen Scream 3, so I can't speak on that one.
Why are you grinning?
No, I'm just grinning. It's just funny to me.
I'm fucking just making a statement. You're just like.
No, I'm gonna get back to you on my thoughts on that once I watch Scream 3, because I do hear that that's like the most hated one, right? Like that's the one that people hate with a passion.
It's not necessarily hated. It's just the biggest letdown, I guess. I mean, for people back then, it was a letdown, but I can definitely enjoy it. I mean, I sat through it.
Good.
That's a good sign.
That's the most you can ask for with a lot of the movies, is you got to be able to sit through them. You got to have a good time.
Scream 4 was definitely better. Scream 2 I've come to love more. I've come to appreciate that movie more as a sequel. But I remember thinking like Scream 2 and Scream 3 were like such a step down from Scream 1.
For sure.
But definitely Scream 2 is a bit above 3. But yeah, Kirby Reed, they bring her back from Scream 4 into this movie. She was one of the standouts in the movie. I thought her character made sense. It was a fun way to bring her back. They apparently wanted to bring her back in 5, but they just couldn't.
They couldn't do it at the time.
They couldn't do it. They couldn't
fit her in or something like that.
Yeah, it was that. It was the writing. They couldn't fit her into the story, and they wanted to do her justice. They didn't just want to shoehorn her in the movie. I heard she had like a little Easter egg for her in Scream 5 in the party scene.
Oh, I see. Like in the party scene, right.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, I also haven't seen Scream 4, so I also for some reason I felt like, because when we were in the theater, like the entire audience immediately like reacted to her return, and so I felt like I knew her just because I'm like, okay, this is like a known entity, and I felt like I recognized that actress from something else. But yeah, I legit didn't know her character.
You know what's one thing I was thinking about right now was with Dewey. I miss Dewey. I deadass miss Dewey. Like Dewey was the
GOAT.
Dewey was the GOAT of the first 5 movies, and apparently he's a great guy to have on set. Jenna Ortega spoke very good on his part. Like he's just an amazing actor. But yeah, I wish they showed more of Gail dealing with it, because that was also her like love. Instead, they just showed her with some random dude in the apartment. Like she just moved on. She just got
this other dude, and then Ghostface kills him off, and then Ghostface makes some brutal comments about Dewey, and then almost kills her, but then she survives. No, I mean, it's always been a weird thing with Gail where, like she almost like doesn't change. She always stays true to herself throughout like all these movies. Like she's always out to make a buck. Like even like in the first movie, she just writes like books and like media reports on like all this crazy stuff. And no matter what, like people always hate her because of that. So she hasn't changed throughout like all these movies.
At least she gets punched in the face.
She still gets punched in the face. It's a consistent thing.
That was a good moment, bro.
Right. When I think it was Samantha, she missed, and then Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, Jenna Ortega
got the hit in. She got the hit in. No, but yeah, no. So Gale doesn't change. But hey, I mean, bro, they still will have her alive for the next movie. So we'll see what they end up doing.
Yeah, so many people definitely missed that because I watched it twice and I didn't know until you and Xander were talking about it after the movie.
Because they mentioned that they like that they at the ER that she has a pulse and they're all okay. Mindy, Chad, everyone's okay. So core 4 survives, everyone survives. And so what do you feel? How do you feel about like that subversion that like legacy characters can live through these franchise movies as they're going through the paces?
Just don't. Why you gotta stab him 17 times? Like there's so many ways to go about it, and they definitely I think they did it on purpose. There's an article I haven't read it yet, but. I believe they were interviewed and they were asked about it and why they didn't kill off certain characters, But they had to do that on purpose. That had to be like a joke, you know what I mean? It had to be like. So I just didn't get it while I was watching. I was just like, why do you have to stab?
Chad can take it. Chad can take it, bro.
Bro, he was getting brutalized, and then they just the two of them just go. With the knives, they just look at them and wipe their knives off.
They did like the double knife thing. No, dude, I think it's the power of Jenna Ortega, bro. He just knew, I gotta stay alive for Jenna Ortega. I gotta do it. And so he knew he was a man with a mission. He was a man with a mission. You gotta respect that. He was a man
with a mission in that party scene too. Bro, poor guy, dude. Even Poi was watching it, and he was like, "Yo, that's so fucking extra." Like they just tased the guy in the nuts, for no reason, bro.
I mean, when he threw when he was like dragging her up, that was when he went too far.
No. I take that back. Not for no reason, but like, it was like too far.
Right.
It was just too far. Like you could have knocked the guy out. You don't tase him. Just straight up taser him in the nuts. Bro.
I mean, we over here in the studio, we consider that one of the cardinal sins of cinema. Whenever anyone goes for nuts.
They didn't go that far. Whatever. If that happened in the movie, that would have been crazy.
Whenever anything gets or anything like that, that's when we're like,
Samantha Carpenter cut off his balls in the middle of that would have certified like the therapist fucking like inclinations towards him.
Oh no,
that would have made sense, bro.
I mean, bro, imagine you're like that therapist and you hear about something like that happening. You're like, yo, no, I gotta go before some other crazy shit happens.
That's what walks up.
Yeah, he just gotta like shield himself.
Nah, I don't think. Wait, has Ghostface done that?
Oh, I don't remember. I feel like it might have happened. In some slasher movies, it's definitely happened. And it's,
we've seen it.
Dude, Terrifier, bro. It happened in Terrifier. Terrifier committed the cardinal sin.
So bad. I mean, he's done a lot of sins. He's done a lot of sins.
Terrifier is one of those slashers that you gotta hate him. Like you gotta like you could enjoy like the character just like how like evil he is, but you want that character to get murked. You want him to just leave the face of the earth.
Yeah, bro, that shit was crazy. That movie's wild. That movie's a great theater experience, but damn, I'm
for the second one, the second Terrifier.
Yeah. The first one's all right. I get why they made a second one. I get why it's like a cult classic kind of thing for like horror fans. But yeah, what did you think of their killer reveal? Like, what did you think about? Because you asked me, but I didn't get your thoughts.
I mean, the killer reveal, how I felt about it is, like it felt like a classic, like these like parody slasher films, like one of those reveals. Like you said, it sort of harkens back to Scream 2, but also I figured, oh man, like we are in this sort of nostalgia hall, like this like mansion where you have all these items from the previous Scream movies, like the knives, the masks. You have like all of this history, and it's sort of like the franchise referencing itself. He's like, oh, I'm gonna finish off Richie's movie. He's doing it like all this stuff, and like I thought that the reveal works in that regard. Like maybe they could have gone somewhere else with the plot and it could have been better, but you're thinking about movies that haven't been made and that like aren't. It's not the movie that we watched, and for the movie that we watched, I thought it was a fun time. I had a good time with 3 killers, because killing 3 killers is satisfying. You get a good death scene for each of them.
It was the sort of thing where like this is where my issues come in with the movie is. I really enjoyed the first 2 acts. I enjoyed the setting. It allowed for more things to happen. Like in New York, there's a lot more interesting set pieces. The bodega scene, the ladder scene.
It breathed a new life into the franchise.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just a way of like calling back to like Friday the 13th and like Jason Takes Manhattan and all that stuff. And they had the subway scene, which was great. But I thought it would have been really interesting if they did with like Richie's, he said he wanted to commemorate him and finish Richie's movie, right? I would have liked it if it was this sort of thing where like they're filming the killings.
Right.
Like, because in New York, if you see someone with a cell phone and you see someone like, oh, like getting like it's gonna take a moment for them to realize, holy shit,
it's actually
like
happening.
Something's like actually happening.
Because New Yorkers are more jaded. We're more jaded than we do.
It's not even. It's just like if you see someone with a phone like recording, you know that, and it looks like fake. You know, it would seem planned or something.
Right.
Everybody is like, oh, it must be a Banksy. You know, like they're gonna think
that's
it's
not
fucking,
a Banksy, bro. That's not a Banksy.
They're gonna see it's like, oh, it's some fucking art show, bro.
Right,
the guy's
right.
just laying there, dog.
Some pretentious shit, you know. Oh no, that's
what I'm saying. So, I mean, if a motherfucker can get stabbed 18 times and come back, I think we can believe
we could
be
see
that stupid.
We could see
you know
that.
what I mean? So I think it would just be interesting to.
No, I'm just imagining just like dudes like on like the subway watching those murders. Like, you know how like they stab like Mindy like on the subway. I could just imagining like because they showed like one girl sleeping and stuff like that. But I can just imagine like some other people like seeing that and just be like, oh yeah.
I feel like the movie dipped its toe into like the world that is Manhattan. You know what I mean? But it didn't go as far as it could have because there's so many things they could have done that could have raised the movie even higher. But yeah, I think what would have been interesting if they made a movie at the end of all the killings, like finishing his movie, you know?
Because instead they had the projector showing up like a previous stab movie.
of what Richie did. But that's what I mean. So it would have been interesting to make like the final two survivors of the movie watch the film that they made for Richie, you know? So that as a way of like punishing them, that would have been interesting.
It would have been a cool way to tie around, but then
it would have been made it way stronger. It would have made the whole reveal way stronger.
But you'd have to take out that line from the beginning where when he slashes the fake killer, the fake out killer, and he says, you know, who gives a fuck about movies, and he just slashes. But
that's what I'm a little confused. What's their like? I'm little bit lost on like what's the cleverness with these killers besides the fact that it's connected to Scream 2. I might be
I think I understand. I understand that. That's a solid, you know.
No, but
critique.
what's the like? Because the cleverness with Richie's character was like it was the fans, you know, like that he was like a fan of the Scream franchise and stuff like that. But he
was on those Reddit pages, man. The conspiracy theories.
Where's the cleverness here? You know, do you I
don't really have an answer for it. I mean, it's mainly just a redux of Scream 2. It's doing the nostalgia for like the franchise and keeping the franchise going, with the main subversion being that the legacy characters all survive in this, and you know, like that's the main thing that this movie was going for. Its main like change is that we're in a different location. These are the things going for it, but I feel like because they wanted to pump this movie out so quickly, they didn't really think of it in that regard.
I think it was intentional.
It was intentional
because Scream 1 was released in 1996, and they released Scream 2 a year later.
I see.
So I think that's why they were aiming for like a year later release.
That makes sense.
Copy that. But if that's the case, we're getting Scream 7 in 3 years. That's so fucked. Like I want it, bro. Like I want to see it. You know, I want to see these.
I can be patient. I can be patient, but I mean maybe I looked this up, but I remember hearing that they were planning for another like a 1 year or 2 year release date. I don't know for sure for the next Scream.
I can wait 2 years, but like 3 years, damn, bro. Like they're doing that with the Batman. Like now we gotta wait until October 2025.
Yeah, but you know that they want to make sure that they got the cinematography and everything on point. They're like, we gotta get our stuff.
When it was like 2008, and one of my family members was looking at the release date for The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight Rises, and it was 2008. He was like, 2012? 4 fucking years? Jesus Christ. He was like, Jesus Christ. Because, you know, everybody watched The Dark Knight,
right?
That fucking masterpiece, and then they want to see what's next. You know, they want to see the ending.
For sure.
But, so, yeah, I just, we'll see. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to Scream 7. We'll see what
it's sort of that ultimate question of whether you want something, you know, like a minute before midnight or a minute after midnight, where you don't want to wait too long for something, or you don't want to wait too, like, you don't want to get it too soon, but you want to wait the perfect amount of time where it feels satisfying.
Do you think that if they get to Scream 10, they'll call it Scream X and we'll have Ghostface in space?
Some Fast and Furious stuff, bro.
No, Jason X. He goes
Jason
to
X
space,
also.
bro.
Yeah, I got you.
In the future, yeah, that shit's crazy.
No, I mean, bro, I can see him stabbing some astronauts. He could get the.
Nah, but the biggest cap in this movie was when they said the new Candyman was as good as the first one. That was the biggest cap.
You didn't agree with Mindy?
Nah. They're like, original Candyman or a reboot? And they were like, both. No, I said it vocally in the third. No.
I want to see Mindy's Letterboxd. I'm genuinely like interested in her other opinions.
A lot of people said that on Letterboxd. A lot of people like, I need her Letterboxd. that was good. Yeah. They didn't mention. I wish they mentioned Nightmare on Elm Street 3 because that's an underrated entry in the.
Was that one also directed by Wes Craven?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Gotcha. No.
Actually, no. He made.
Because I only watched the first Nightmare on Elm Street. I haven't watched the other ones.
I watched 2. Is fucking garbage.
No good. No good.
I told my Aiden to watch the second one, and he watched, I think, with his friends on Halloween or something. Bro, that movie is a joke. Like, the only way you could watch that movie is if you're with a bunch of friends, you're wasted, and it's Halloween night, and you have nothing else. Bro, like that's
nothing else to watch on Halloween. Yeah.
I mean, you got a lot of things to watch on Halloween, but Jesus Christ, that movie is a joke, bro. There's a scene where Invisible Freddy Krueger is whipping a naked gym teacher's bare ass cheeks.
What the fuck? With a towel?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's tied up by with the shower rods.
Oh no. Yeah, no. Okay.
There's literally bondage in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, bro.
I guess they were trying to top the first, maybe, but who knows? Who knows?
The first. Chuck Russell made the third one. The third one's interesting because it's the original girl from the original final girl from the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
I see.
And she comes back as this she's training to be a psychologist, or she is a psychologist, I think. And she goes to this mental hospital where these kids are dealing with Freddy Krueger's nightmares, but nobody believes them. So she's trying to help them, like, oh, I've been through this. Like, I know what you're going through. You know, so she probably read up on it as like, these are the same things I dealt with, so let me help them out. And she's basically helping them fight Freddy Krueger.
I see.
In the dreams. And that's a good concept. That's like an interesting concept. You know, you would
it's a solid pitch.
You would hear like a title like Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors and be like, what the fuck? Like Dream Warriors? What is this? But when you watch the movie, it's actually
makes
decent.
sense.
Yeah. It's pretty good. I think that was one of the better entries. The reboot they have in 2010, I didn't even finish it. It's so fucking
It's not good.
It's so bad, bro. That's the one thing. That's what I mean. Like, there hasn't been a slasher franchise as good as Scream. Like,
right, as consistently good.
As consistent, yeah. So we'll see how they continue
with the rest of the movies.
The rest of them, but Scream 6 was awesome, man. I loved it. I thought it had issues, but I'm happy that we've gone this far along the road and they're still coming out with pretty decent stuff. So
no, and it's one of those things where it's always fun to see when this many entries in the franchise is still exciting, because you know, like with like a lot, like for example, like Halloween, like when it gets like this deep, people already like fall off, you know, like after stuff like Halloween 3, you know, people are like, oh no, I don't want to watch these movies anymore.
Well, Halloween 3 is tragic.
Yeah, you weren't the biggest fan. I remember.
You're not the
I'm not the biggest fan either. I mean, dude, I respect that they killed off the kids. Like that's the one thing where I'm like, okay, they got the kids out of the way. You know, they never do that in a lot of these movies, so I was okay with that.
You're so fucking. Jesus Christ, bro.
But the rest of the movie was not good. Like it was pretty boring. It was pretty unengaging. I think the only
highlight of the movie was the agent's head getting crushed by the 2 cars.
Right.
And it was like so slow. But yeah, any final thoughts on Scream 6?
I mean, no. My final thoughts is looking forward to the next one, man. I want to see some of the core 4 like actually die this time. I want to see how they can step it up from here, because they have potential.
More Chad and Danny.
Radio
silence if you're watching this by any fucking chance. Chad and Danny. Never kill them. Just don't stop stabbing them.
Every movie they'll get stabbed 18 times and they'll still live. I guarantee you that's what they'll do. They're geniuses.
Bro, what the fuck?
They want to get you as tight as possible before
they're like the Steve Harringtons of the franchise.
Exactly.
You know, like they'll boycott if they fucking kill them or something.
Right.
But yeah, so that's a wrap, yes.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap, yes, bro. And we're out of here.